Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to Timeless Romance Tales. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more midnight confessions, dangerous aristocrats, and romances born behind locked doors. Now, tonight's story, it begins after midnight, with a knock that should never have been answered. Let's begin. The summons arrived at exactly 11:47. No signature, no explanation. Only the Duke's seal pressed into black wax and a single line written in an unmistakably controlled hand. Come to the East Wing. Alone. Margaret Bellamy read it twice. Then a third time, her pulse slowing rather than racing. Fear would have been easier. Fear meant danger was obvious. This felt deliberate. She stood in her chamber for several minutes after the bell stopped tolling the hour, weighing reason against instinct. She was a guest at Ravenscourt, nothing more. A distant cousin of a dowager, invited for propriety and quiet companionship. The Duke of Ravenscourt did not summon women after midnight. That was precisely why she went. The East Wing was unlit except for a single corridor lamp, its glow stretching long and thin across the carpet like a warning. Margaret walked slowly, every step measured, her fingers grazing the wall to steady herself. She stopped before the door marked only by a brass crest. The Duke's private study. She raised her hand and knocked once. Enter, came his voice, low, even unmistakably awake. She did. The door shut behind her with a final, deliberate sound. Locking. Margaret turned. Duke Alastair Crowe stood near the window, tall and broad-shouldered. His coat discarded, white shirt open at the throat as though he had been pacing for hours. Candlelight carved his face into sharp lines. Controlled, aristocratic, unreadable. You came, he said. You summoned me, she replied. A corner of his mouth curved, not quite a smile. Most would not have. I am not most, Margaret said quietly. His gaze held hers for a long moment, assessing, measuring. Then he gestured to the chair opposite his desk. Sit. She did. He did not. Instead, he moved to the door and checked the lock, testing it once, then twice. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Margaret's spine straightened. You said alone, she said. You did not say imprisoned. Alastair turned back to her. If you wished to leave, you would already be at the door. She met his eyes. Why am I here, Your Grace? He approached slowly, stopping just out of reach. Because, he said. You heard something tonight you were not meant to. Her breath stilled. I heard nothing. Do not insult us both, he replied calmly. You were in the West Gallery during the council meeting. I was lost, she said. And you stayed, he countered. Silence stretched. Margaret folded her hands. If you intend to accuse me, do so. Alastair studied her face, then exhaled slowly. I intend to protect myself, he said. And you are now inconveniently involved. Her pulse finally quickened. In what way? He reached into his desk and removed a folded document, placing it on the surface between them. A private agreement, he said. One that, if revealed, would destroy 3 families and ignite a political scandal the Crown would never forgive. Margaret did not touch the paper. You think I would betray you? I think, Alastair said carefully, that you are honest. And honest people are dangerous when frightened. She rose slowly to her feet. Then why summon me at all? Because, he said, voice lowering, I do not intend to frighten you. He took one step closer. Margaret Bellamy, he said, using her name for the first time. You will stay here tonight. Her heart thudded once. Hard. And tomorrow? She asked. That depends on what you choose, he replied. She swallowed. Choose what? He held her gaze without flinching. Whether you leave as a guest, he said, or remain under my protection. The word settled heavy in the air. Protection, she echoed. From whom? From me, he said honestly. And from what you now know. She laughed softly once. You summoned me after midnight, locked the door, and now you offer protection? Alastair's expression did not change. I offer control. Something I do not give lightly. Margaret studied him. The man everyone feared. The Duke who never touched, never indulged, never explained. What would remaining entail? She asked. His eyes darkened just slightly. You would stay at Ravenscourt, he said. Publicly. Permanently. Her breath caught. As what? As mine, he said simply. Silence thundered. You don't mean. I do, he interrupted. A formal arrangement. One that ensures your silence and your safety. Marriage hovered unspoken between them. Margaret felt something shift inside her. Not panic, not desire, but a sharp, lucid awareness. And if I refuse? She asked. Alistair stepped closer. Close enough now that she could feel the warmth of him. The restraint coiled beneath his composure. Then I will still see you escorted from the estate at dawn, he said. And spend the rest of my life wondering if today was the moment I should have been less cautious. You wouldn't stop me, she whispered. No, he said. I would respect your choice. She searched his face for deceit and found none. That, more than anything, frightened her. You said stay tonight, she said. What happens before morning? Alistair's gaze dropped, to her lips, then back to her eyes. Nothing, he said firmly. I do not touch what is not freely offered. The certainty in his voice unraveled something in her chest. Then unlock the door, she said. He didn't move. Why? He asked. Because, Margaret replied, steady now. I want to stay knowing I could leave. A pause. Then, without breaking eye contact, Alistair crossed the room and unlocked the door. The click echoed. There, he said. Now choose. She didn't move. Minutes passed. Candles flickered. The house breathed around them. Finally, Margaret turned the lock again herself. Then she faced him. I choose to stay, she said. Not because I am afraid, but because I want to understand what kind of man summons a woman at midnight, and still gives her the key. Something raw crossed Alistair's face. Then, he said quietly, you should know something. She waited. I have wanted you since the first evening you corrected me at dinner, he admitted. And I have done nothing about it because wanting is not permission. Her breath trembled. And now, she asked. Now, he said, stepping closer but not touching her. I am asking. Margaret lifted her chin. For what? She whispered. For trust, he replied. Tonight. Nothing more. She nodded. The night passed differently than she expected. No touch. No kiss. Only conversation that cut closer than intimacy ever had. They spoke of duty, of fear, of the loneliness that came with command. He told her why he ruled as he did. She told him why she never married, never settled, never softened herself to be easier to keep. By dawn, the storm inside her had quieted. When morning light crept through the curtains, Alistair stood by the window once more. You may leave now, he said. Or stay. Margaret rose, smoothing her gown. If I stay, she said, this will not be a cage. He turned. It will be a throne. Beside mine. She studied him for a long moment. Then she crossed the room and took his hand. Then do not summon me again, she said softly. Invite me. His fingers tightened around hers. Margaret Bellamy, he said. Will you remain at Ravenscourt as my duchess? She smiled, slow, deliberate. Yes, she said. But never again after midnight. Alistair laughed quietly, the sound rare and real. Agreed, he said. Though I warn you. Yes. I rarely sleep anyway. And as the sun rose over Ravenscourt, Margaret understood something with startling clarity. Some doors are locked to trap you. And some are locked because what waits inside is powerful enough to change your life forever. The court announcement did not come immediately. That was Alistair's first lesson to her as Duchess-in-Waiting. Power, he told her 2 days later, as Ravenscourt settled into a hush that felt anticipatory rather than calm, is not proven by speed. It is proven by inevitability. Margaret stood beside him in the morning room, dressed more finely than she ever had before, though still without jewels. She had noticed that the Duke did not rush such things. Appearances were chosen like weapons, carefully, deliberately. You haven't told anyone, she observed. No, he replied. And neither have you. I wasn't sure I was allowed. He turned to her then, expression sharpening. You are allowed anything you choose now. The words should have felt like freedom. Instead, they felt like responsibility. That afternoon, the first visitor arrived. The Dowager Duchess of Ravenscourt swept into the drawing room with the confidence of a woman who had ruled the estate before Alistair ever learned to speak. Her eyes landed on Margaret instantly. "So," she said coolly, "this is the woman summoned after midnight." Margaret's spine straightened. Alistair did not correct her. He stepped closer to Margaret instead. "This," he said evenly, "is the woman who will stand beside me." The dowager's gaze flicked to his hand, resting possessively, but not tightly, at Margaret's back. "You move quickly," she said. "No," Alistair replied. "I move decisively." Silence pressed between them. "And does she understand what that costs?" the dowager asked. Margaret answered before Alistair could. "Yes," she said. "And I accept it willingly." The dowager studied her longer this time. Then, unexpectedly, she nodded. "Good," she said. "Because men like my son do not forgive easily. But they are loyal once claimed." Claimed. The word lingered long after the dowager departed. That night, Margaret stood at the window of her chamber, watching torchlight move across the grounds as guards changed shift. Ravenscourt no longer felt like a guest's house. Felt like a fortress. Alistair knocked once before entering. "You should be frightened," he said quietly. She turned. "I am." "Good," he replied. "Fear keeps you honest." She crossed the room slowly. "And what keeps you honest, Your Grace?" He hesitated. Then for the first time he answered without armor. "You do." The court announcement came 3 days later. Margaret stood beside him in the great hall as Alistair declared his intent before nobles who had never seen him yield so much as a smile. "This is Margaret Bellamy," he said. "She will be my Duchess." Whispers erupted. Questions followed. None were answered. That night, after the hall emptied and the doors shut, Margaret finally let herself exhale. "They will test us," she said. "They already are," Alistair replied. "You stood. That is enough." She turned to him. "You're still holding back." His jaw tightened. "Because once I stop, yes, I will not know how to retreat." Margaret stepped closer. "Then don't," she said softly. He looked at her as if weighing the world. Then he reached for her. Not hurried, not restrained, but certain. The kiss was slow, deliberate. A question rather than a claim. She answered it. When he drew back, his forehead rested against hers. "This changes everything," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "That's why I chose it." Their marriage was announced formally within the week. The Crown approved it without hesitation. The scandal never surfaced. The secret remained buried. But Margaret soon learned that being Duchess of Ravenscourt came with its own trials. Women who smiled too sweetly. Men who tested boundaries. Nobles who assumed her silence meant ignorance. She let them. Until one evening, when a lord laughed openly at her expense. "She was nothing before," he said. "And nothing changes overnight." Alistair did not speak. Margaret did. "You're mistaken," she said calmly. "I was always this. You simply weren't looking." The room went still. Later that night, Alistair found her in the library. "You didn't need to defend yourself," he said. She smiled faintly. "I wasn't defending myself." "What were you doing?" "Claiming my place." His expression softened into something dangerous. "I warned you," he murmured. "Once you stand beside me, I will never stand behind you," she finished. He kissed her again, then deeper this time. Not ownership. Partnership. Weeks passed. Their marriage became a fact no one questioned. And one night, as Margaret lay beside him listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing, she realized something quietly astonishing. The Duke who summoned her after midnight had not locked her in. He had opened a door. And she had walked through it not because she was trapped, but because she was chosen.